You know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach when things just don't go according to plan? Or that low-grade hum of anxiety when life throws you a total curveball? It feels like such a modern problem, doesn't it? But what if I told you that its root cause was pinpointed more than 2,000 years ago? Well, we're going to dig into that ancient diagnosis right now.
I mean, think about it. We've all been there. A relationship ends, you switch jobs, your health takes a turn, or heck, even just your morning routine gets messed up, and boom, immediately there's a reaction. There's stress, maybe some fear, that feeling of being completely unsettled. So why? Why is the simple fact of change, the one true constant in the universe, so incredibly hard for us to handle?
Well, for a group of ancient investigators of the mind, this wasn't just some random quirk of being human. No, they saw it as a specific diagnosable problem. And like any good doctor, they traced all those symptoms, the anxiety, the fear, the suffering, all the way back to one single identifiable source.
And here it is. The word is upādāna. It's a term from the ancient Pali language, and it gets translated as clinging or grasping or attachment. But really it's so much more than just liking something. Upādāna is the mental act of grabbing onto an experience and stamping it with the label me or mine. This is my body, my opinion, my feeling, my identity. See the difference?
So, okay, that's the diagnosis, clinging. But how does this one little mental habit, this simple act of grasping, end up creating so much chaos in our lives? Let's break it down.
This line from the ancient text just gets right to the heart of it. It's saying that the very thought, I am, doesn't just pop into existence on its own. It arises because we are clinging to something. In this case, form, which means our physical body. Our entire sense of self is literally built on the foundation of this grasping.
All right, so if we're clinging, what exactly are we holding on to so tightly? The texts give us this fascinating map of our own experience, and they break it down into 5 main categories. They called them the 5 aggregates.
Think of this as a complete inventory of anything you can possibly experience in any given moment. First up, you've got form. That's your physical body and the world around you. Then, feelings. And this is just the raw data. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Simple. After that comes perception. This is your mind jumping in and labeling things. Oh, that's good. Yikes, that's bad. Fourth is a big one, mental formations. This is the whole shebang. All your thoughts, your moods, your intentions, your habits. And finally, there's consciousness, which is just the basic awareness that lets you know the other 4 are even happening.
So here's the crucial point, the fundamental mistake we all make. Each of these 5 aggregates isn't a static thing. It's a constantly changing process. A feeling comes and goes. A thought appears and then vanishes. Our body is changing, literally, moment by moment. The act of upādāna is taking this churning, flowing river of experience and trying to freeze it into a solid, unchanging statue that we call me.
Okay, so we're desperately clinging to things that are, by their very nature, constantly changing. What happens next? How does this actually create that anxiety we talked about at the beginning?
Well, a text called the Upādāna Sutta just lays it out with surgical precision. It's amazing. It says when a person clings to their form, their body, and that body changes, it gets sick, it gets older, then distress or paritasana arises. But, and here's the key, for another person who does not cling to their body as me or mine, when that exact same body changes, distress does not arise. The external event is identical, the internal response is completely different.
And that's the whole game. Right there. The source of our suffering isn't that things change, it's that we are desperately, with a white-knuckled grip, clinging to them, resisting the natural flow of life. That friction between our grasping and reality's constant motion, well, that's what we experience as anxiety and stress.
So if clinging is the problem, is the solution just to become apathetic? To just not care about anything? Not even close. The path they described is way more subtle, and honestly, way more powerful than that. It's about a radical shift in how you see everything.
The antidote to upādāna is anupādāna, non-clinging. Now, this isn't about pushing your experiences away. It's the practice of allowing experience to be exactly what it is, a fleeting sensation, a passing thought, a changing body, without adding that extra layer of ownership, that whole story of, this is me. It's really just about seeing clearly.
But of course, you can't just flip a switch and decide, okay, I'm going to stop clinging now. These ancient thinkers were total realists. They knew that this kind of freedom isn't something you just wish for. It's the result of a very specific kind of effort.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How does this actually work in practice? How do you cultivate this state of mind where change is no longer something to be afraid of?
To explain this, the ancient texts use this wonderfully simple, down-to-earth metaphor that absolutely everyone can understand. It involves a hen and her eggs.
So imagine two hens. The first hen looks at her eggs and thinks, "Oh, I really, really wish my chicks would hatch safely. May they break through their little shells." But then she just wanders off. She doesn't sit on them, she doesn't keep them warm, she doesn't do the actual work. Those chicks, they're not going to hatch. The second hen, though, she doesn't waste time wishing. She simply does what needs to be done. She sits on the eggs consistently, she provides warmth, she tends to them properly, and the text points out that even if she never once forms the wish, "May my chicks hatch," they will hatch. Why? Because she created the right conditions.
And that is the key to this whole thing. Freedom from the anxiety of clinging isn't something you get by just wanting it really badly. It's the natural, almost inevitable outcome of cultivating the right conditions in your own mind, of practicing awareness, of investigating your experience, of actually doing the work. Just like the chicks hatching, it happens as a natural result.
This simple, powerful statement shows up again and again in these texts. It's both the beginning and the end of the path. When that deep-seated habit of mentally grasping onto the flow of experience is finally let go of, the mind is, by its very nature, free. It's spacious, and it's at peace.
So, it all leaves us with a pretty big question to reflect on in our own lives, doesn't it? Looking at those 5 aggregates, your body, your feelings, your perceptions and labels, your thoughts and opinions, what is the one fleeting, changing thing that you are clinging to the tightest, as if it were the permanent, unchanging truth of who you really are?